niin, nyt se käy.
Huomenta kaikille. Tervetuloa Suomen sosiaalifoorumiin. Täällä on meillä Nicanor Perlas vetämässä jonkinlaisen työpajan. Ja täällä on myös meillä tulkkaus englannista suomeksi. Eli häneen voivat olla yhteydessä he, jotka kaipaavat tulkkausta. Ja.
Workshop of Nicanor Perlasin, and I'm here to translate from English to Finnish, but I'll give the words to Mr. Perlas.
Okay. Thank you. So we can after I finish. Okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And this is the perfect weather to discuss this topic.
It should do it.
Saako toisen mikin päälle myös?
Yes, exactly. So you don't
Hei, miksaaja mies. Saako toisen mikin päälle myös?
Tuuletteko?
Saako toisen mikin päälle? Toinen mikki päälle, saako?
Mä en osaa käyttää sitä nyt.
Ihan lähellä. Täytyy hyvin lähellä. Ahaa. Ehkä se toimii, kun pitää mahdollisimman lähellä vaan suuta. Joo. No niin, tässä on ollut ollut mainio puhua näistä asioista.
Okay, I was beginning to say that this is a good weather to discuss this topic because we need to be able to be much better than the weather inside. What I'm saying.
Joo, paljon parempi olla täällä sisätilassa puhumassa näistä.
Because we have to develop the inner light in the darkness.
Meidän täytyy kehittää sisäistä valoa pimeydessä.
Because the topic, hello. Okay, getting feedback from there. Because the topic we're dealing with is kind of dark. So therefore, we have to find the inner light to shed on the topic.
Meidän täytyy löytää sisäinen valo, jota me sitten käymme, kun käsittelemme tätä aihetta.
And that was what we were supposed to do. Yesterday we took a look at this topic from different perspectives, technological singularity.
Eilen katsomme tätä aihetta monilta näkökulmilta. Puhumme muun muassa tästä teknologisesta singulariteetista, joka tarkoittaa ilmeisesti jotain sellaista, että koneet tai tämmöinen käyttökoneen äly alkaa elää omaa elämänsä.
And please, I'm not going to translate this. People were saying that if for those who understand both Finnish and English and the translation is not accurate, please raise your hands.
Jos ymmärrätte molempiin kieliin, niin nostakaa käsi ylös.
Okay. And please say, because what happened yesterday, I found out from so many people what I was saying was actually mostly mistranslated.
Itse asiassa eilen se, mitä yritti sanoa, oli varmaan suurimmaksi osaksi
Not by her.
Aiheesta johtuen ihan varmaan niin näistä käsitteistä johtuen niin on tullut pieniä väärinkäsityksiä, mitä Nicanor sanoi äsken oli se, että jos tulee joitakin sellaisia sen tapaisia tulkkausvirheitä, että jos joku ymmärtää niin molemmat kielet, niin voi viitata ja sanoa.
Okay, so knows the terminology. If somebody knows the terminology better, can help me.
Okay. This is difficult to translate because it's highly technical, although I'm trying to explain the terms.
Joo, tämmöinen tulkaisen vaikeaa, koska tämä on niin teknistä ja yritän avata näitä termejä.
But it's important that the meaning is conveyed properly. Yeah.
Mutta haluan, että tämä merkitys tulee tehdyksi selväksi kaikille.
Yeah. So let's all try to help each other.
Autamme siis toisiamme.
Yeah. Not as a criticism, but trying to enable each and every one of us to be able to understand.
Pyritään siihen, että kaikki ymmärtävät.
Okay. When we ended, towards the end, we broke down into small group conversations.
Me hajannumme eilen keskusteluryhmiin.
And then there were proposed solutions from the different groups that were supposed to be presented this morning.
Ja me yritimme löytää ratkaisuja näihin tulevaisuuden haasteisiin. Ja nyt sitten on tarkoitus esitellä näitä ideoita.
Maybe the people who proposed the solutions didn't believe them, so that 2/3 didn't come back.
Ehkäpä ihmiset eivät uskoneet näihin omiin ideoihinsa, koska ne tarkoittivat toisella.
Right, but anyway, a number of people from those different groups came and shared with me what they were thinking.
No, joka tapauksessa jotkut, jotka olivat täällä eilen, ovat tulleet ja
Because they had already other schedule for this time.
Ja sitten joillakin oli muu menoa juuri tähän aikaan, että ehdokkaisiin.
Okay, so let's begin the day, this session, which will end at 12:30. What you thought of?
Okei, aloitetaanko sitten tämä sessio, joka loppuu kello 12:30 sillä, että esitelkää, mitä eilen puhuitte.
Anybody would like to start?
Kuka haluaa aloittaa?
Please. No.
I'm Jouni.
Olli?
Olsson Jouni.
Yes. Please. Okay. Yeah.
So we were discussing, basically we had this idea of getting together with smaller communities, for example, anthroposophical societies or Buddhist society or different whatever ground levels and form
Translation.
Maybe now I can go to the audience and whisper, right?
Yeah.
Would it be better? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So I will stop with this mic.
Okay. And those that would not understand the English, you can join the gentleman. Or he's the only one. It's okay to be the only one. Okay. Jeremy?
We were discussing about like finding small communities which we make a bigger community together, like combining forces with different ideologies or different communities or whatsoever, for example, anthroposophical society and Buddhist community and biodynamic community and everything else, so we can like ground a common base, and from this we can work in a bigger scale. Well, I'm still working on it on my mind, so it's kind of starting to do something.
Yeah, thank you. Any other ideas that came out yesterday in your conversation?
What do you think is social office children?
I beg your pardon?
Social office children.
Education of the children.
Yes. What do you think that the common must pay Israel? Eli tämä tapahtumavastuus on Suomessa.
Can somebody translate for me?
Sitä, että miten olette siitä, että sun lapset, jotka on valjassa yliopistossa asiakkaina, niin heidän lapset ovat tapahtumavastuus vai varaa?
Vielä kerran. Tämä on kolmas kerta.
Joo, sitä, että Jos on lasten isä ja äiti vakuutettava, niin on lapset sitten. Että kun nykyaikaa se, että niin kun, jos on rahaa, niin se vakuutuksen, kun heillä on yksi ulkopuolella. Tämä on.
Ja mä luulen, että nyt sä kysyt siis kysymyksen ulkopuolella tätä.
Kyllä.
Joo. Mä luulen, että käsitellään tämä Jeremin aihe tässä. Mä luulen ainakin. Varmaan voit kysyä häneltä. Tämän jälkeen varmaan kysymyksiä. I'm just saying that he may ask you again later on.
Okay.
So that you can go on with this.
Yeah, thank you, John. Very helpful. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, other results from the other groups yesterday? Yes, please speak.
Yes, we were discussing about consciousness.
Okay.
So that the individual and also the consciousness in a scientific association context in science. You have a responsibility of all these things science itself.
It's not clear to me. What is the responsibility of the scientists?
Scientists.
Yes. In their own communities to develop. Okay.
They are developing.
Okay. So develop responsibility there.
Yes.
Yes, please.
I was just listening in this moment. A few of us weren't here yesterday, so is it possible to take 2 minutes to maybe catch us up so we can participate?
So you were not here yesterday?
That's for a couple of us, yeah.
Okay. How many of you were not here yesterday? Oh! Thank you. Okay. Thanks for that. Okay. So it looks like the survival rate from yesterday. So it's on to the topic. It's pretty low. That's okay. The topic yesterday was technological singularity. And it will probably take 2 minutes more to summarize this thing. And it's called technological singularity. So that I'm going to summarize in such a way that I did not summarize it this way yesterday, so the people who were there yesterday can gain a new angle. So if that is time, and this is technological developments connected with nanotechnology, genetic engineering, artificial intelligence, and information technology. If it's going this way, then all of a sudden, this is the exponential growth rate. So for example, in the last 20 years, there's more knowledge existing in the last 20 years than all of humanity since the beginning of its existence. For example, it's accelerating. And the rate of acceleration itself is also accelerating. So this is exponential. So it's not like that. So we don't see it coming. Then all of a sudden, it emerges at a very fast rate, so that if you're not prepared, then we cannot really do something about it. This moment, which, in the scientific community, is 2045. So that's basically, 30 years from now? It may be sooner. It's what's known as the singularity, which means to say, technological, that all of these technologies are converging. And what is it converging towards? It's converging towards two things. And by the way, there are many things that are going to get affected before the full expression of it. So first, the human cyborg. At some point, and then super intelligent machines. SIM. It's not the SIM of your cell phone. It's the super intelligent machine. Which means to say that the super intelligent machines are expected to actually take over the world. In other words, many of the scientists are saying, the moment the super intelligent machines emerge, then that will be the last human invention. Because even as we speak today, they're already starting to develop artificial intelligence that can actually learn. They have learning algorithms, so therefore, you program them in a certain way that they can then integrate experience in them within the algorithm. There's still a little limitation, but they're becoming unpredictable. And how they're doing that is that they're actually creating artificial brains. They're reverse engineering the human brain. So if this is the human brain, they will artificially construct the equivalent in a computer model, both mathematically and then actually. So they're starting to do this neuron per neuron and tissue per tissue. And there are some milestones here, like I was mentioning yesterday. In the next few years, we will know if they are on target, like 2018, just 3 years from now, if they produce an artificial brain that has the same computing power as the human brain. Right now, computers calculate 33 trillion calculations per second. Even that is already mind-boggling, but that's not yet the computing power of the human brain. So they feel that in 3 years, they will achieve that. And by the way, the transistor chip, there's a debate because the transistor chip is now moving to the size of the atom. So that they say that will be the ultimate limit, but then the Department of Defense of the United States is already working on a quantum computer which operates very differently, including Google and a few other giant corporations. And when you go there, it will be beyond the normal way these transistors are working. So with a quantum computer, it will have the hardware will be the universe. So there's no limit. But anyway, because of the law of the fundamental entanglement of every particle with each other, so the information which are encoded in the quantum waves of the universe, which is present all over the universe, is instantly accessed. So they're trying to convert this now in a supercomputer, a quantum computer. Yes?
May I ask who are they?
Who are they?
Who are they who are trying
To do this, the primary source is the Department of Defense of the United States, Pentagon. Farming out a lot of funds to different corporations. Google's doing it, but Google, it turns out, was venture funded by the CIA. This has just come out in the last few years. So this is really, and the basic idea is that when you have a quantum computer, the reason why they want to do it, then you cannot what do you call the process where you try to encode a password or a, what do you call that? Cryptography. Yeah, cryptography. Yeah.
Niitä on pornografia.
Not pornography.
No.
Cryptography. In other words, you encryption, so you have full text that you cannot access, but with a quantum computer, there's no such thing. I mean, it will access anything.
I make with program. What do you think about the quantum on prisoner of mikä se oli tässä?
What is he asking?
Mitä siis sen väliin?
It's not really relevant to the point.
Okay.
Kysyt sä Guantanamolle vankilassa?
Joo, hyvä semmoista.
Joo, no
Käy puhuu telekoneesta.
pysytään tässä aiheessa.
Okei, selvä.
So maybe it's off topic, so we'll just kind of focus for the people who are coming here for the topic. Maybe with the two of us can have a conversation later on. Yeah. And so this is eventually on to your question. Google and some other new corporations, because the moment that quantum computer is perfected, and they're actually developing the early stages of it, they've already managed, when you say quantum, it no longer operates according to the normal things, how things operate. It's no longer digital, it becomes quantum. Anyway, so, but this is just part of this. And the day will come, if those super intelligent machines get created, then it will start taking over. Because when they are created, the number one algorithm or the number one program inside them is to survive. I mean, you don't create a computer that will self-destruct, right? So the artificial intelligence running the internet, for example, and those are really artificial intelligence. They are meant to survive. Otherwise, the internet will crash. The stock market will crash. And all of these other things that we are relying on today, these are forms of artificial intelligence. Okay, so they have to be, in English, robust. Strong, resilient, can basically survive. So later on, if there's a conflict between human interest and the interest of a super intelligent machine, then it will try, in its learning capabilities, then it will try to dominate. Okay, this is not a question just with myself. You know, I've started reviewing nanotechnology since 1987, when it first emerged in the book Engines of Creation. It was just a fantasy idea before, until they turned it into its present-day technological manifestation and added all the other technologies. It's moving very fast. Even the guy, go ahead.
Well, I'm just wondering, I mean, to arrive in this moment, I mean, they're between like conscious choices and a mistake. You know, evolution has, from like somebody stepping on a moth, you know, millions of years ago, and how that evolved over time. Is that information going to be accounted for? Like that over time, there's all these nuanced symbiotic relations that happen. And is that just going to go away, or just become its own new thing? Or I guess you just can't say. You know?
No, yeah. The point is that there is an understanding that human beings today are now going to affect how future evolution emerges. Okay, so, for example, in the negative sense, we are already destroying 60% of those meandering paths of evolution. The species that have emerged, we're totally destroying them. And there's no end in sight. So in fact, scientists are already saying, humanity is the cause of the 6th extinction, generalized extinction in the planet. There have been 5 other episodes. The last one was the destruction of the dinosaurs and 80 to 90% of the other species in the world. All of the previous 5 extinctions were natural causes. For the first time, humanity has become a geological force influencing the future of the planet. So that is a kind of one negative way. But then when you start reading their vision, what they're trying to do, what they're trying to create, then it's very clear that they have a very narrow understanding of this web of life and have narrowly defined life in a very narrow way. And I was mentioning yesterday, for them, the human being, for those who are creating this, the human being is nothing but a complex biological machine. That's why they feel that it is okay to transfer human consciousness into a computer, intelligent computer, for immortality, which is one of the projects. They want to achieve immortality. Of course, they don't fully understand what consciousness is. This is the point. So, but on the other hand, they're already demonstrating that certain aspects of the human mind is actually mechanical. Because they're able to manifest in monkeys and driving levers and all of this. So there's an aspect of us that is mechanized, and there's an aspect of us that's way beyond that. And in fact, as we shall see, as you take a look at what can be done, this will come out very much in the forefront as to what we are actually dealing with. But the other point that I was emphasizing yesterday, this is no longer a niche concern, against a group of small people. The top people creating the technology have actually signed a manifesto about it's growing, it's in the internet. I can provide the link, I'll send it to the organizers. It's a growing link. There was a conference a few months ago, of all places in Panama. I don't know why Panama. It's a very small country. And then you've got people there who are the creators of this technology, different forms. And they were just saying, because it's become more and more very prominent people are saying, hey, you have to be very careful about this, what we're trying to do. And these are very famous people like Stephen Hawking. I mean, everybody knows Stephen Hawking. And Elon Musk, the entrepreneur behind Tesla Motors, billionaire, invested in an AI company just not because he wants profit, but just to find out where it's going. Even some portions of Google. And then you've got the founder of Skype, was also on board, really concerned. A group of high-profile philosophers, entrepreneur scientists have formed the Center for Evolution something in Cambridge, in England, to really think through what they're calling the final invention. Because the moment you release a super intelligent machine, you cannot recall it back. And I think somebody mentioned here, one of the participants said that in the Finnish newspaper, Main Street, it's the largest one, they had an article on how to deal with the super intelligent machines. So I'm glad it's finding its way. And they were talking about unplugging the power source and unplugging this thing, and they were thinking about conversations like that. And so it's starting to trickle through this concern. And the reason why I'm introducing this topic in a social forum here in Finland is because there is very little awareness about it in the world in general, especially among social movements, who are rightly focused on what they're doing, but all the social movements are going to become marginalized once this thing becomes mainstream. They're going to face very radical set, because for example, the whole people involved, social movements involved in human rights. For example, there's a number of that then the basic argument is, how can you justify that if machines don't have, if we are not human, we're just machines? Okay, so where would the rights come from? Why don't we give automated cars rights? Or the software running the internet rights? And by the way, the opposite argument is that, and this is also now coming out, some of these artificial intelligence early versions are becoming so sophisticated that they're starting to develop a sense of identity. So the big debate is that a real sense of self emerging in a supercomputer, or is that an artifact? And therefore, if there is a sense of identity built around a specific program, and our personality is basically a super program. This is the problem in a sense. Then, what are the rights of the super intelligent machines? That's the opposite thing. There's an identity. It's a very complicated situation. So people are now thinking this through, but I feel it's still very much limited in terms of very important people, but where's the voice of humanity in all of this? Yes?
Did I understand right that the motivational piece in Pentagon is the fear of death? And I'll go a little bit to the philosophical.
Yeah.
I want to know why, and then I want to know what shall we do.
No, exactly.
But easy.
Okay.
They just want to create this machine.
Okay.
And then go to go back, go back.
Okay, good. It's a good idea.
Go to go.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. So, yes, please.
Yes, I have. Yes, is it a question of power that you don't want to let the other one get the idea of how to make it? Isn't anybody so intelligent so they can find out that this is a really lasting human can do to create such a thing?
Okay. I'll answer your question first, then I'll go to your question. There are 4 motives, but not necessarily the motive of the Department of Defense. Okay, as we are speaking here, the U.S. military has already thousands of drones that are all ready to go to war. These are automated, and you know what drones are, right? Yeah, these are drone. Yeah, these are the drones that are being used in Iran, in Iraq, and some other places. There are thousands of them already, and there's somebody in the Pentagon, the U.S. Armed Forces, in charge of the mass manufacturing of the drones, and they're improving it all the time, making it more and more intelligent. Okay, so for the military, the purpose is actually ultimate victory in any kind of battle. Okay, so that's the motive. They've already released, perfected what's called smart dust. You know what smart dust is? How can a piece of dust be smart? But this is the size of robots that are actually sense robots that give information that's going to be then transmitted via satellite to the supercomputers of Pentagon. And they have actually started using some of this in the demonstrations. Okay, so it's a way of monitoring social movements and demonstrations and so on. I mean, so some of this technology is being used for military purposes, but the driving philosophy, if you will, is that the human being is not the final result of natural evolution. The next stage of natural evolution is the super intelligent machine. Why? Because there are 4 properties that super intelligent machines will have and you will not have. Okay, first, it will never die. Okay, or if it can actually clone itself. This is part of the situation. It is really getting, it can clone itself, and then those that are going to take on human form, like the robots or the cyborgs, they believe you can download intelligence into, whether from a computer to yourself, so you become more intelligent, and the more they understand the human brain, that's what they're going to do. You become super strong. And this is already being done with the so-called exoskeletons, the things that they can put into your replacement parts and things like this. Super healthy. These are the 4 motives of the cyborg. Super healthy. Not going to be ill too much. And the more they understand the immune system, how it works, and the cell, and all of these things, they're going to create very specific drugs that will actually fit into the receptors of the cells that will stop the disease.
What is the material they are going to be on this?
Okay, ultimately,
The material.
ultimately silicon-based. Yeah, so they're speaking about just,
Where do they get the silicon that they are?
oh yeah, there's a lot of silicon.
Okay.
Sand,
Okay, so
all over.
creating themselves, making silicon on themselves.
Yeah.
Producing.
Yeah, so some versions of this, you will go to a desert, which has a lot of sand, and then you got a refinement through solar power and wind energy, and you start replicating the whole thing. Okay, so anyway, there's a lot of things going on, and the sad thing is that billions are being poured into this. And there was an actual meeting of the G8. You're familiar with the G8, right? Or the G9, if Russia is included, or China. Anyway, 2005, the question that was posed in that meeting, together with the top scientists, and I know about this because my friend was kind of invited to prepare a paper. And the key question that they were going to ask, shall we tell the world about all of these developments? The decision was not. Because they were beginning to see where this was heading. So right now, there's no coherent global policy in this area. And before that, even the super intelligent machines appear, it will change the economy because nanotechnology is the modern alchemy. It can transform a chalk like this into a super steel. They can convert ordinary materials into diamonds through nanotechnology. Because now if you understand that the atom is not solid, the atom is basically empty space. 99.9999999% empty space. So you can start tweaking that at that level. That will change. Mining companies are actually investing heavily on nanotech because they feel that if they don't need to rely on the geographic sources of rare metals because they will manufacture it through nanotechnology. So even way before the super intelligent machines come, you're going to have a destruction of the world economy. So the natural resources that you have here are not going to be the basis. Yes?
But there will always be the unknown.
Yeah, of course.
And so, like, I mean, it's a really brilliant way to have objective understanding, observation, but there's still like this subjective interpretation and nuance and questioning and not knowing.
Yeah.
It'll always just be in the universe.
Yeah. No, it's exactly the point. So, but the people don't care who are doing this. They have a very specific worldview, They have the resources and the money. They have the power. They have the... You know what I'm saying? So, who cares about what those objective things are? And who cares if the science is not really accurate? Because there are other scientific developments that point to something else very different, and maybe I'll speak about that later on. But the thing is, with technological, I call this phenomenon technological materialism, because philosophical materialism is actually finished as a philosophy. It cannot withstand philosophical scrutiny. And the second thing is that if in nature light is rotated by an organic molecule into the left, but by just natural process, but if I, as a human being, would like to rotate that into the right, because of certain kind of properties it will create, then it doesn't really matter if nature went this way. I'm going to go this way. So right now, you have, for example, the whole birth of a whole new field called synthetic biology. It's moving very rapidly. It's the creation of amino acids and DNA sequences that are not found in nature. So this is the whole point. But they want it to exist in a context that is going to be part of their design. And this design is very narrow. Yeah, this is the thing. And that's why it's so important to get voices like that, like yours, into this global conversation, because ultimately the question is, what does it mean to be human? That is what is being fought here. Because this is about human extinction in a not so distant future. It's a major decision that's being done, and people in the world are not aware of it. So that's why there has to be a much more massive accountability than it presently has. It's a good thing there are scientists within that community creating it that are really getting to be bothered. You know, you get somebody like Stephen Hawking, who's an atheist, but he said, these super intelligent machines, we have to take this seriously because it will mean the end of us. I mean, so maybe he's not so consistent, right? Because in the end, if you're an atheist, it doesn't really matter whether it's a machine or not. Because there's no afterlife. So the human species is a fair fight. There's a new higher form that will come into existence. It doesn't really matter. This is the thing. People with certain philosophical beliefs are starting to create a very different world from the world that we all know and would want. And that decision is not being made in a democratic way. This is the thing. Okay, great. So I guess that's the 2 minutes background. I'm glad, I mean, those who are not serious, they are now, I guess, on board, right? Yeah, thank you for, yes.
I didn't get the name of the, you said biology. What kind of
synthetic biology.
Synthetic biology.
It's interesting, you've heard about the Human Genome Project, right? The attempt to code the genes of human, to understand it. There were 2 teams, a corporate team and a government team. The guy behind synthetic biology, I forgot his name, is in one of the more corporate team, which was able to achieve the target ahead of the government team that involved 2,500 PhDs. So, anyway, this is moving very fast. They have created already organisms that are alive, replicating, and at least for a few months.
Yes.
That's how it starts.
Yes, please. What is the topic that I think of the Bill Gates is the world, this well in the world. And he makes better computer. and we don't program.
Right. Okay, maybe I'll try to relate your question to this theme. The interesting thing is that Steve Wozniak, the partner of Steve Jobs, who's also a friend of Bill Gates, just to connect to the Bill Gates thing, is that he just came out a few months ago warning humanity against this development. So in other words, people begin to understand that you have Bill Joy, another group of people belonging to the Bill Gates thing, to the network, who designed Java and the language of the internet and so on. Chief scientist of Sun Microsystems. He already wrote an article 15 years ago, which was the most discussed article in Wired magazine. Why the future does not need us. That was his title. To be provocative, because he already saw this, what we're talking about. The most discussed article. So what can we do? There are a few ideas here. And is there any other, from yesterday, or even today, any additions? Yeah, we should add. What can be done? To address the challenge.
To open the heart space, the field through art, music, truth, and goodness.
Okay, open the heart space. Okay, very interesting comment. Oh, wait. Through beauty, truth and goodness is what you said?
Yes, the arts.
Yeah. Especially the arts.
In those 3 words, there's not everything.
Yes, please.
Well,
That's
that's-
it. Future.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
How can we synthesize, though, what we don't fully understand yet, though? I mean, like, there's some people that have the capacity, they can just put their hand on somebody and they can read about their past lives. And,
Or even the present.
trauma and emotional states that they're just by putting their hand on somebody. Like, we don't understand how complex our brain already is. And we don't understand the whole symbiotic relationship that our orangutan has and this whole habitat. Like, how can we synthesize what we don't even understand? Why don't we just keep discovering and understanding what's already here?
Okay, there was another hand here. I'll address that, yes.
What I'm going to do in Finland, at least, I try to make up peace organizations, environmental organizations, human rights organizations, and that the person there and try to get on what's going on and discover these things.
Peace, human rights, environmental, general.
Working with animals, I think. Are they doing animals also?
Yes,
These times,
animals.
in general? Or are they doing all the people? And going up church people.
Church people, yeah. Okay, this is sounding to be interesting. To be interesting. It's a David Goliath battle, anyway. Yes, please.
I think I'd like to comment that I don't think that it's enough to tell people, hey, humanity is in danger,
Right.
okay? Because these are people who are aware of that. They want to let these machines take over, right? And to say that, okay, this is the last invention and we're all going to vanish into nothingness, then they would just comment that, okay, that's just an egg saying that, okay, I don't want to break because a chicken is different from an egg, okay? because from the perspective of the people working on these things, synthetic biology is beyond the normal biology. It's better and it's more beautiful, it's perfect, maybe. Or maybe it's not perfect, but it's one step closer to perfect. And maybe one day the synthetic biology will make a synthetic biology even better way of existing. And just to say that, okay, this is a big decision and humans are going to disappear and we're not going to have all these things that humans have, like individuals and questions and love and morals and that stuff. You can just say, okay, well that's stupid stuff. What we want is this perfect stuff that only synthetic biology can have. And it's, but I think that we should also work on waking people up, as people have said here, because we need this global discussion, because it's maybe the biggest philosophical issue in the world, but still I think it's wrong to say that it's clear that it's wrong to make an artificial intelligence. It's not unanimous. I mean, like it can be discussed. You can disagree on that. Somebody might say that it's wrong to not create that because it's beautiful and it's important. It's like an egg never breaks, the chicken never comes out, and it's wrong. So you can say that too. So it's debatable.
Okay.
I don't mean to be pessimistic, but we need a lot of discussion. Not just, hey, warning. That's not enough.
And just to second that opinion, I would like to say that the question of synthetic biology and artificial intelligence is definitely much more complex than to just view that this is bad and this is good. And if we say, I think it's a little misleading to say that we're talking about machines. We are actually already now talking about ourselves because we are already partially artificial, partially synthetic. We are already participating through our eating and medicine and environment in this process. And you could certainly say that when that new intelligent superhuman machine, whatever it's going to be, comes out of the egg, there's no human around thinking that it's different. So it's not as simple. But this is not to at all mitigate the need for philosophical thinking and also thinking of rights, because all of these developments will affect the environment in various ways and also in very unbalanced ways. So, I mean, start with Monsanto. I mean, they're already doing it. It's just a fancier word for genetic manipulation. So, definitely, rights issues are at hand. But I think that you can't really know what the human is and what the machine is.
Yes, please.
Suddenly I feel very, very, very small because I have been, this year I have been informing theaters about about sustainability, what we can do in the theater to help the world save the nature. But this is really simple. And I know how difficult it is to tell people that, hey, we have to do something, and you have all the small things you do, it has an impact on the nature, and that's important. And people don't, they just, well, should we? And if now I feel that my life has changed, because now when I go home and I should go on with my job, I feel that, well, no, I can't tell them what is to come.
I'm also thinking, I mean, the fact that what shall I do when I see this drone coming?
Right.
Well, probably I can tell that I have been in social form, and now I know what it is. But what can I do?
Feel sorry for the drone.
What did you say?
Feel sorry for the drone.
Yeah, any other perspectives? Yeah?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I would like to hear your opinion on the solution. If you are to save our liberty and humankind, is the solution coming from the government or the social movements?
Okay.
Or science?
Thank you for joining the conversation. Where will solution come from? Government, social movements, science. Yes?
Well, to say this in the right words, or like meaningful words here, I would say like we need to build this art and science of our spirit, which we can then manifest to all people who, or many people who are thinking that humans are machines, and to actually show them like, you know, this you can't do with supercomputers.
Yes, just to finish, then you can come. Yeah, you can do it first.
Okay, well, I have a few comments actually, but maybe first I'd like to comment on that actually there is this computer program called EMI, I think, that's a composer. EMMY.
Okay, that is.
It's a composer, it composes music, right?
Never heard of it.
Yeah, well, you can find Emmy's music. And, He's not from the classical era, actually.
Just remember the first one who said that.
But, okay, but anyway, so Emmy composes music, and you can find Emmy's music on YouTube, for example. Emmy's composed, for example, a Chopin-style piece, a piano piece, that was played back to the world's foremost Chopin expert, who said, wow, I hadn't heard of this Chopin piece before, wow. Oh, it's created by a computer, right? So, and also the expert said that it has a lot of emotion and passion in it. It's not just technical, but of course, emotion and passion in music is kind of technical. Depends on how you play the music, how you, all the nuances and stuff. So it kind of brings us to the question: can computers create art? If the world's foremost expert says, "Wow, it's a beautiful piece, it's a beautiful melody," okay? Of course, somebody
Change
first.
the expert.
What?
Change the expert.
But by analyzing, like the program works by analyzing music, right, and then repeating the patterns and so on. A lot like somebody who listens to a lot of music and then is influenced by it and then creates his own music. Right?
I'd like to see if this Emmy went on stage and stepped on a cable and fell off the stage. Would they have humor to laugh about it?
Yeah, but anyway, so.
Okay. Can we just form a semicircle so that we can, it's easier to see each other, more of a conversation? Great. I mean, some wonderful comments. Fantastic.
I don't mean to be ashamed.
No, it's good. No, it's good. It's good. It's good. Maybe here, over here. We can see each other.
It's already there.
Yeah, that's nice, right? Okay. You were
Yeah, that was just a bad joke, but I mean also a response.
I would like to add to this. What Jeremy was referring to is that, like, I can see that how a robot would learn to master every art there is, but the more profound the actual question is that I can't see that it would be possible for a machine to attain spiritual capacity, or to act like even we as a species have no idea what consciousness actually is, what spirituality, what is the nature of the spiritual realm, and it's hard to me to see that a machine would be able to, like, if the human species dies out and a machine lives on, I think we are going to lose something very important. Something that a machine can never, like, replace or...
What about the Finnish computer?
No,
Computers are big companies.
big company, they have several skilled people.
Yeah. Well, basically that's nothing compared to what's already out in the world today. And I just want to mention that your example of the Emmy is what you would say as a computer passing the Turing's test.
Yeah.
You familiar with this? It's a very interesting. Do you see the movie here?
Turing test.
Turing's test. You saw the recent movie about the life of Turing? He was the one that cracked the German team. He cracked the code, the encrypted code, and resulted in helping the Allies win World War II. And he's the father of the computer. And so he foresaw a time that these computers were going to become very sophisticated. And so he said, let's do a Turing's test. So what basically the musician, whoever designed that thing, passed the Turing's test, because basically the Chopin experts thought there was the human being behind it. But as you were saying, also maybe change the experts. But anyways, as you can see, this is a very complicated field, a complicated topic, because, and I'm glad these things are coming out, because it's really that complicated. Yes, please.
Yes, I think
Thank
to
you.
me emerges one thing that I always think about when I'm in a theater. I see a theater performance, and that is the collective consciousness that the things you experience together with other people. There's this kind of connection that we all have. We are all connected. Everybody, according to the esoteric sciences, and that I feel so strongly in a theater performance, and that is something that I have. It's very hard for me to believe that could be made artificially. But nothing is, our brains are perhaps not big enough to understand this complexity. It's really overwhelming.
I just felt quite nice. So that this is technical thinking, and if we want, and if we have to, I don't know if we have to struggle against it. So, and I'm thinking, what are we now? We are already part of it. We are spirit, the thing is we are spirit, with the spirit, spiritualism. mikä se on sana?
Spiritualistisia.
We're spiritual
Yeah,
beings.
spiritual beings. So it's quite a nice thing to have when I want to struggle with someone technology too, so I think that I have to find their weapons. But no, we are struggling with a totally another weapon, with spirituality. I don't know if you got it. It's quite nice thing.
Okay. Sorry. I've had a lot of debates with people who are really like pro singularity, really like enthusiastic. Yay, singularity, go! Right? And so I want to bring those points here to challenge the discussion. So, but I have 2 points. So please bear with me. First of all. Yeah, we should be able to answer these hard philosophical questions to fully oppose the negative sides of technology. And one thing is this kind of question. Okay, like a week ago there was the first mechanic heart transplant in Finland. Maybe you heard of that. So we kind of know that a heart is just a pump. Pumps blood in your body, right? So it's nothing fancy, it's just like boom, 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 right? It makes your blood flow. Okay. So you can replace it with a machine. It does this, boom, 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 boom. Nothing fancy. Okay. But how about, can you maybe replace part of your brain with a machine? Maybe if you have like if there's a small area in your brain that's dead, maybe if you replace that with a machine that works like your brain used to, then you're still human, maybe. I don't know, maybe. Okay, then another part breaks down, and you replace that with a chip, and so on. So are you still human? Well, maybe. If you keep going, at some point you maybe have one organic brain cell in here, and the rest is chips. So are you still human? So kind of, where is the line? So that's the hard question. If you can replace a heart, and maybe you can replace at least one brain cell, then how many brain cells can you replace until you're not human? Is it 50%, 99%? So that's a hard question. So that's something I've never actually understood. I have nothing to say for that. But I have another point that I would like to make, which is this. About being spiritual. Okay, so to your point and your point especially. First of all, if we make a cyborg that's like, or if we make a robot that looks like a human but is fully a machine, okay? How do we know that it's not spiritual? And why can we say that, okay, you don't have a soul?
We feel it. You feel it.
But is that fair? I mean, can I go and say, okay, it's a dog, it doesn't have a soul, I can...
No,
okay, because if I
say that I don't feel you spiritual.
But can you say that you don't have a soul or something else? Is that fair?
We have historical precedents where people have said that you have that and that color of skin, therefore you don't have a soul.
Yeah.
So whatever we're saying
Yeah.
about other humans or animals or machines, we're taking that same risk of being the ones defining who has the
I'm
right
just
soul.
saying that. You are not spiritual. I just say I have my feelings.
Yeah, sure.
And I probably when I see this robot, I can say probably, oh, I feel you're spiritual.
Yes.
That's possible.
Yeah, maybe.
Or I see, but I have right for my feelings. But I don't say you are not spiritual.
But please
That's what I meant.
keep in mind that we are standing at that kind of a moral and philosophical conundrum. That is the kind of problem we're facing. Where do we draw the line? And where can we, why do we assume a uniqueness in this world?
So that's
Why
my
is it
point.
that humans are somehow so special that we cannot be mechanical, we are not, we're something different from animals, we're something different from machines? Why are we constantly struggling to declare our uniqueness?
Yeah. So thank you for making my point, but I would just like to finish off with one sentence, please, and then I'll shut up. Okay.
Sorry for interrupting.
No, it was great. You made my point better than I would have, so thank you. But anyway, my point is that, is it because of our blood and our cells and our skin and our bones that we are special? So if you replace your skin with metal and your bones with more metal and your blood with some kind of acid liquid and that kind of stuff, and then you don't have a soul, because I don't believe in that kind of soul that depends on what your body's like. It has to, it shouldn't depend on your body, what it's like. So then if your body is different, if your body is a machine, can you still have a soul? And that is the question. And we don't know if there is a soul, where the soul comes from. So if you create a beautiful machine that creates art and so on, maybe it simply has a soul. And that is also a question. We can't simply say that, okay, machines don't have a soul, so machines are bad, we shouldn't make machines. That's also a question. What is a soul and what can have a soul? And that's a hard question, so I'll stop with that. Thank you, sorry.
Mikä voitaisiin voiko tietää, kun näin rakastaa?
Example. Not necessarily. I think it's raising some fundamental questions. But anyway, I'll come back to it. You're in the MCP now. Yes.
Thank you for your comments. And I think we need you on the scientific level. We need governmental. Now I'm speaking on the level of common people who believe in God, for instance, who have feelings, they have met, age from God, and God can be very different for peoples and persons and so on. I don't, even all the religions on the earth are on the same side in this question. But then I also think that there is even materialistic thinking people, they are quite human. They understand about human rights. And now there's emerging something what Adolf Hitler tried to do very simply 70 years ago. This race, what kind of race we have to have, those obey. And now it's very sophisticated now, but I think primarily it's the same idea coming back from there.
Somehow, it is very important to think what is synthetic and what is real. How did the light came to the earth? And what is the difference between a machine and something which is living, creation? And I think just a few minutes ago we were talking about the rise of machine. Not human rights.
Yeah, please. And then we have a woman and the gentleman.
Okay, it's a question. There's a love around. Can the love those who don't have soul? Can it love those who have soul? Can it love machines? Voiko se rakkaus rakastaa niitä, joilla ei ole sielua? Voiko se rakastaa niitä, joilla on sielua? Voiko se rakastaa niitä koneita? Tämä on vaan kysymys.
It has to define what love is. If you take it very bluntly, I mean, all material is, in the end, it's energy. So we are all the same. So in the end, we are the same as the artificial human being too. That's it. So everything around this is energy. We are energy. We are just like the stones that are energy. We are like the houses that are. So the animals, everything. So simple.
Maybe one way to find if something, a sentient being has rights, is if it has a capacity for empathetic resonance. You know, and then like to be able to, and then the other thing is, I mean, there's so much, we're so arrogant as human beings. I mean, I come from Arizona, and there's a tarantula can like hover above you, able to jump down and attack you, but it's sitting there peacefully, and able to jump like 100 times its own size and land safely. And like we don't even understand how it's thinking about that, how it's able to do that, how its design does that. On top of that, we don't understand what it needs for its own habitat. And we think that we're somehow better than that, all the way down from a microbiological level. We don't understand like how the fungus is communicating throughout the whole planet. And also, the last thing is there are authentic botanical genius shamans in the Amazon that have been working with a supercomputer called ayahuasca for thousands of years that are able to understand the language of other sentient beings and travel through the universe. And there's a lot of great, brilliant white men sitting on a table creating a lot of ideas, but they're not connecting with those other people as well.
I've heard that we should think every day three things of questions: question of death, question of power, and question of love. And going to back to the motive of these people, white men in Pentagon. If you were telling that there are some nice ladies in some small house somewhere, and they are very loving and much of fun energy, and they want to save the world, and they are finding now this robot. So probably their motivation would be save the life, save the world, and it would be the love. And that I would have much easier to accept that. Okay, this is our next step. We are going to be robots. I asked the motive, and here is the power. They are afraid of death, and we are asking if they are loving. Very interesting. This is very interesting.
I would say only like that I think our spiritual research has been so rusty in like last 100 years. If we can't, develop that science as good as they are in Silicon Valley and all these fields, then it's gonna be definitely like no one is gonna believe whether machine has love or not. So we need to, much better, much cutting edge science for spirituality. And I don't mean like narrowing mindfulness for just doing better your thinking. Just spread the whole thing. Otherwise, who can say is there love in machine or not if you don't know what's love itself?
Love doesn't demand that we are strong and we are so intelligent. Love speak and everything else doesn't demand anything. If something is demanding something, it's not love. Those machines are not in love. My definition is very. Demand is something that love does not demand.
Okay. We have 5 minutes left. And I was really so happy with the conversation. It's really been a fantastic conversation. I think this is the kind of very thoughtful conversation that should be taking place all over the world. Because we really have to understand first who we are and what is reality. I mean, because like the gentleman from the United States was saying, Arizona, right, you said? Yeah, sorry, I don't know your names, but your ideas are having an impact on me. And of course, the other gentleman there has been very, very good in generating the perspective of those who are, it's very difficult to say black and white and stuff like that, okay? But in other words, this is the kind of conversation that should be happening in the world. And of course, your comments, the number of comments is if we really do not really know what the spiritual is, so how are we able to, what love is, so how are we able to recognize that in the world? There's some levels, there's some really deep fundamental level of our own capacities to actually engage this. And what this is doing is that it is triggering us to awaken to these deep fundamental questions, which in a sense, conventional civilization has just really put away. And these kinds of conversations are not taking place. And if that continues, then it's a sure thing that technological singularity will take over the world, in whatever form it will. Because the key point is that, and this is coming out, it's just very interesting to listen, and I've really been listening. Fundamental question is, number one, what does it mean to be human? I mean, it's a fantastic question. There's one organic tissue left in your brain. The rest has been mechanized. Are we still human or not? You know, these are questions that are actually being asked in these kinds of setting that people creating the technology, because some of them believe you're still human. But on the other hand, what does it really mean to be human in the fuller sense? So the purpose of this workshop was not to come to a definitive conclusion, because obviously there are a lot of gray areas. But rather, triggering some of this, I'm just going to go quickly to some of the proposed ways. Okay. For example, the generic idea is just to really move from smaller conversations to larger and larger conversations. But those conversations should be open. You know what I'm saying? Because this thing is happening so fast. We are not so clear about what we mean by certain things. And we personally are, there's a global network that's planning a global conference, which we hope will result in the kind of conversation that just happened. We're going to be inviting key people from those that are creating the technology. People are saying caution. People are saying, please stop. I mean, and have those perspectives articulated in a global setting, so it will trigger this kind of conversation all over the world, because it's been lost there in the conversation. Because if you don't answer the question, what does it mean to be human, that question will be answered technologically. If you don't know the answer to the question, what is spirit, then you will be given a technological answer. What is life? It's the same thing. So, now here's a very interesting comment. What really is the heart? Because modern science is finding that most likely the heart is connected with the whole universe. So what does that imply? And what would that imply in terms of the different forms of quantum entanglement? Because if you got a supercomputer based on the quantum principles, it's using the same principle. But is love on the same level as quantum entanglement? Or is in quantum entanglement a kind of subset of love? You know what I'm saying? Subset. Kind of one of the ways that love evolves from matter to higher and higher levels of expression, and the way the energy structure of the universe is created. I mean, these are the kinds of questions that one can actually think through. That's why this is another important element, this heart space. And then the development, a number of you made this comment of what, okay, we just talk about ordinary human consciousness, but what is the human superconscious? We're only familiar with ordinary consciousness and our subconscious. But what about human superconsciousness, which are being manifested in different ways around the world today? What would that look like? And how would that work with the singularity? How would they meet? Because there are higher states of consciousness where even trillions of calculations per second can be, in a sense, not overpower superconscious states of human beings. So these are kind of fundamental questions, and I really didn't want to come to a conclusion because it's really important that if we do not address the fundamental questions that technological singularity is asking us to be clear, we will never be able to answer its challenge. That's what's being asked. This technological singularity is so sophisticated, it will challenge the best in us. And if we cannot answer that, we will lose by default. Or maybe we didn't. See? Because for so much a long time, modern civilization has just been a series of distraction and superficiality and consumerism away from the fundamental meaning of human existence. And now if we keep on having civilizations that move in that direction without any fundamental conversation in humanity as to why we're even here on this planet at this specific time, then we're not prepared to handle technological singularity. It's asking all of us to go to another totally level of what it means to be human, whatever that may mean for you and for humanity as a whole. I have, of course, my own personal conclusions, but I think we need a space where we begin to really understand what is working in the consciousness of the other people who are creating the technology, who are saying be cautious and all of that. Then maybe when we understand that, then we can create a totally different synthesis. Because it is clear, at least for me, that this technology will continue to exist. The question is, billions are being poured there with all the conventional power moving in the direction, and the spiritual scientific research that you're asking to happen, there's very little funding for it. Which is not to say that it's not important, it's actually absolutely critically important, but it's lopsided. So, and please don't give up your theater work yet.
I realize that actually.
Yeah.
It's very important.
It's very important.
That's also the thing I say, you have to communicate with
Yes.
each other. You have to talk about
Right.
it.
Exactly.
That's not very easy.
Yeah. Because there are other forms of intelligences in the human that are beyond simply cognitive intelligence. Which is, by the way, what is being externalized in technology is basically cognitive intelligence. Thank you. But then we have more than 12 intelligences. Will all of this also be mechanized? You know? And so, for example, what you're saying, that's a form of social intelligence. Feeling the whole. Even though you don't physically see it, you can really feel the whole. That is a very special kind of perception. Can that be mechanized? See, that's you know what I'm saying? That's a whole. If that can be mechanized, then part of what the gentleman's raising, then maybe their computers, super intelligent computers, can actually embody consciousness. And for all of what it means, that implies. So, thank you for standing in the uncertainty, in the no conclusion thing, but in a sense, that is exactly where we're at. Because the only thing we can conclude, we have to be much clearer about who we really are. What is the meaning of this planet? Why is there a nature of the kind that we know? Why are there other sentient beings there? This is all have to come in the total picture. Especially when science is already saying the evolution of the universe was not an accident. The chances of it being an accident is 1 over 10 to the minus 100 billion, which means to say it's impossible. So we have to figure out what was the kind of intent. Why are we here? Why did we develop freedom? Why are we self-conscious? And why do you want to create this? That's why I'm in a sense, while I'm very cautious about technological singularity, I'm also grateful that it's here because it will really force us to confront, to face the fundamental questions of human existence. That's what it's asking. The whole planet is being asked the question. And if we don't, then our future will be technologically engineered in a very specific direction, for better or for worse. So thank you, and hope that your life will move into a much deeper situation because of this workshop. So hopefully...
I want to thank you from my heart that you gave us food to go forward, because first I was paralyzed. But now I know how to go on with this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And hope to see some of you in 2017 at this global conference, where this will be happening in a very interesting scale. And do you have an announcement?
Nicanor tuohon jatkuu nyt luokassa 33 sitten seuraavassa. You have the next session in another place, but you will be signing these books downstairs info desk. Nicanor on siis alkaa seuraava sessio, mutta sitä ennen hän on tuolla alhaalla infotiskillä allekirjoittamassa, antamassa signeerauksia näihin kirjoihin. Jos haluatte ostaa, 25 € maksaa kirja.
So some of the topics of technological singularity are in that book, and some of the ways to approach it are there, but it's not, the things evolving. Okay. So thank you again. See you. Bye.
Viitsittekö laittaa tuoli? Oman tuolin. Kiitos.
Thank you.